Listen, now I love being a remote online notary, but with everything, there are pros and cons. So I wanted to give you my honest opinion about what I think the pros and cons are of being or becoming a RON is in 2023. That way, if you are also looking to become a remote online notary, you have this information and can make the most informed decision for yourself. Again, it's just my opinion, but I wanted to make sure I shared it. Always nice to start off with the positives. Let's start with the pros. So the first pro we have to get into is the flexibility. Like for me, that has always been the biggest selling point of becoming a RON, because it's flexibility not only in when and where you work, but also in your clientele. So as the name suggests, RON stands for Remote Online Notary, which means you're not performing the notarizations in person, face-to-face with the signer. You are fully remote at home, in a coffee shop, on the beach, wherever it is that you want to be, as long as you are in the state that you're commissioned in to perform notarizations. And I really feel like that can't be understated. Like I personally, I have a 9-to-5. And so I like the fact that I can get off of work, I can eat dinner, I can spend time with my family, and then, I can start doing my remote online notarizations after 9 p.m. And that's not something I would do or want to do as a mobile notary or signing agent, because quite frankly, I don't like strangers. I don't like strangers in the daytime, and I sure don't like them after 9 p.m. So I just would never do that as a mobile notary or signing agent. And I get hit up all of the time by single parents, stay-at-home parents that are like, hey, I really need to do RON because I need to be at home in order to take care of my kids. And so the benefits that you get from the flexibility that comes with the fact that you're remote, I'm telling you, it's like bar none. That cannot be understated at all. That is one of the main benefits of being a remote online notary. But another one is the clientele. So the thing about being a remote online notary is, as long as you personally are sitting in the state that you're commissioned in, your clientele can be anywhere, right? They can be in another county, another state, they can be international. And so there's just no shortage of clientele. And the fact that I like that they can be in different time zones means that you can do RON all day and night. There's sometimes I log on at 9 p.m. and do one till 3 a.m. And there's sometimes I do it at 7 a.m. and go through the evening, whatever it is. So I just feel like the flexibility that comes with RON, top notch. Commercial break real quick. If you didn't know, I have a RON course. It's called Remote Online Notary 101, and it is available on Udemy. And for a limited time, I am giving it out for only $9.99, and that's to celebrate my 2-year anniversary for being a remote online notary. So if you are interested in taking the course, it'll be linked in the description, and it'll be linked in the comment section. Again, it's only for a limited time that I'll put on the screen. But anyways, back to the video. Second pro we have to talk about for becoming a RON, specifically now in 2023, is that you have access to better platforms that have more variety and more to offer. So RON has been around for forever, right? Since 2010 or whatever the case may be. But for the longest time, let's say 2010 to 2020, 21, there was only a handful of players in the game. And most of the ones that were there weren't that great. No shade, but they weren't that great. I guess that is shade, all shade. But now there's 100+ platforms. And the thing about it is it's breeding competition. That competition is forcing these platforms to give you better offers, to try to give you better prices, to try to give you all of these things. And so if you're becoming a RON now, you have access to way more than what you had access to before. There's platforms that will help you build a website. There's platforms that will give you marketing material. There's platforms that will put in compliance safety checklists to make sure that you don't miss any signature, any stamp that you need to help you save your back so you don't get a lawsuit. There's platforms that offer so much now. Heck, there's a platform that offers NFTs. Like, there's platforms that offer so much more now than they did before, and it's only going to get better as the competition gets more stiff, as more technological advances get out there, as RON becomes bigger. So no better time than now to start digging into some of these platforms. Now, the last pro that we have to talk about for becoming a RON in 2023 is the fact that more people and more companies are coming around to the idea of remote online notarizations. Like, let's just be clear. The world is going more digital. It has been for a very long time. And I feel like as the years go on, the scales tip closer and closer to RON becoming more prevalent within the notary space. And so what better time to start your business, to start marketing yourself, then start getting comfortable with remote online notarizations than now. Like when I first started in 2021, I did this video where I reached out to, it's probably like 100 title and escrow companies and signing services, asking if they did RON and trying to market my services. And at the time, a majority of them said no. But as time's gone on, most of them that said no are now saying yes, and more people are getting comfortable with the idea of remote loan signings. I'm getting a lot more general notary work when it comes to remote online notarizations. And so this is a good time to get in. And if you think about it, as each new generation comes up, they become more and more reliant on technology because they're born into it. Like, let's be clear. Gen Z is not going to be using a mobile notary. I'm sorry. I don't know if you have any Gen Zers as kids or you yourself is a Gen Z. They're not using mobile notaries. They're going to pop on their phone. They're going to find whatever's convenient. That's just the generation, and that's not going to change as generations come along. And so you want to be able to serve both the clients you currently have and potential future clients. And if you are Gen Z, because you only have to be 18 in order to be a notary in most states, you should pop on because you have the upper hand, no doubt. But for me, I see this as a huge opportunity for people to get started and really cement themselves in this RON movement. And why not be at the forefront? So we talked pros. Naturally, we have to talk cons. So what I would say is the first con for being a remote online notary or becoming a remote online notary is that every signer is going to struggle getting onto a platform. I know I just spoke about how there's been so many advances and so many changes within RON platforms over the years, and there has. But the one thing that nobody has solved yet is making it easier for a signer to get on the platform. And it's not that it's necessarily a lot of steps, it's that people don't expect it and it's a little bit confusing, right? If you're coming on and you're notarizing documents or getting a document notarized, you have to sign in and make an account. You have to answer KBA questions that help authenticate your identity. You have to upload pictures of your driver's license. You have to do all of these things. And with each step, people just get more and more confused. There's just more and more areas for things to go wrong. And at the end of the day, it's technology. So just because my mic and camera are working doesn't mean theirs will. And what I have found is the longest part of most of my sessions is just getting people into the session and set up. And don't let there be multiple signers and witnesses, because now it's just, I know I'm gonna be here for a while. And that's one of the things that no matter how much time has passed, I feel like no platform has really solved yet for how to make that as smooth as humanly possible. So really it's your job as the notary, as the RON, to be as explicit as possible when they're coming into the session on what they need to do, what they can expect, how they can troubleshoot on their own to make your life easier. But I would still count that as a con. Okay, so let's have an honest conversation. One of the cons of being a remote online notary, specifically a remote online signing agent in 2023, is the fact that there is less business right now. Now, we all know what the state of the market is. We all know what's going on in the economy. You see the news, you're feeling it for yourself. As a signing agent, you're mainly dealing with real estate transactions. And right now, the housing market is not doing well, right? There's less people buying, there's less people selling, the interest rates are high, and that is going to have an impact on your business. I haven't talked to a single signing agent that hasn't told me that business has slowed down significantly for them. And I would expect if you're looking to be a signing agent in 2023 and you're not yet one, that's something to keep in mind. That business is not, this isn't 2021, this isn't the beginning of 2022, where things are just booming. It is slower. Now, will that last forever? No. Are there still signing agents out there killing it? Yes. But I would be lying to you if I said it was still booming like it was. It's not. And that'll come back around at some point, but I think the biggest thing that you can do now in 2023 is to lean into general notary work, because for me, general notary work has still been just fine. And then to also lean into everything else you can do with your notary commission, because there's a lot of things that you can do. So you don't necessarily have to rely solely on being a signing agent, but business being slower is a con specifically for 2023. Now, the last con I have to talk about for becoming a remote online notary in 2023 or being a remote online notary in 2023, and this is not necessarily a new phenomenon in RON, but it's that you will get paid less for a RON closing than you will for a mobile closing. So as a remote online notary, if you're a signing agent, more likely than not, you will get paid less to do that loan signing via RON than you will via mobile. Now, of course, there are differences that come to mobile and remote. So mobile, you have to print the document. So you need, a printer, paper, toner, ink. You need to drive to that person. You're spending gas money, right? You need to then ship that document back out. So it's more involved, and you get paid for everything that goes into that. But for remote online signings, from what I've experienced, most of the time they're paying you a lot less. And that's because of the convenience that you have. At least that's how I feel, right? You didn't have to print the documents. You didn't have to drive anywhere. A lot of times stuff is pre-filled out. And so the session itself ends up being shorter. So maybe instead of making $150 for that mobile appointment, maybe now you're only making $75 to do it via RON. But you can do more in a day because you don't have to drive anywhere, but you are getting less per transaction. And like I said, that's not necessarily new. I don't think that's necessarily something anchored in 2023, but I feel like it's becoming more prevalent. And what I could see happening throughout this year is because there are less signings to go around and there's so many notaries, companies understanding that they could put the price lower, knowing that somebody is going to take it. At the end of the day, we all want business, we all want work, we all want the money. And so if they offer it at $50, even though it's a lot lower than you would normally take it, somebody is going to take it because they need that work. And so that is a con that I think in general with RON, but especially in 2023. Now, I say all of these pros and cons not to persuade or dissuade anybody from becoming a remote online notary now or in the future. At the end of the day, it is your decision. You have to make the most informed decision, the best decision for you, your family, your finances, whatever it is. But I want to give you my perspective, and I want to give you my honesty on what I think are some of the pros and what are some of the current cons. Now, everybody's pros and cons are going to be different, and a con may not affect me in the same way it affects somebody else, and vice versa, and the same with the pros. But at the end of the day, there are things that are going to impact this business, always. And I want to make sure that if you are looking to become a RON, you're thinking about those things. Now, one of the things that I will say, RON has never been, being a notary, being a signing agent, being a RON, doesn't matter, has never been the type of business where you set it and forget it. It's never been the type of business where you check the boxes, then all of a sudden you're thriving. It just hasn't been. You don't just get your commission, buy the supplies, put up a little website, and all of a sudden now you're just booming with business. That's not how it works. So if you are looking to become a RON in 2023, be prepared to put in some work now more than ever because of the way the economy is, because of the way that that business is. You are going to have to hustle. If you're like, listen, 2023, I'm not feeling like hustling, then don't do it this year, right? Simple as that. Just don't become a RON this year. Wait it out until you're ready to put in that work, because it is work. And it's especially more work now than it has been before. And so again, not trying to persuade or dissuade, but I want to make sure that I am being as transparent as possible. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your pros and cons are. Like, one, did you agree with the ones that I gave? Do you have different ones for being a remote online notary just in general, but especially in the year of 2023? But I want to hear from you. What all are your pros and cons? Thank you as always for watching. Take care.